You're 9, and the morning smells like rice and smoke. Your mother calls your name from the kitchen, and your little sister's already awake, pulling at your sleeve. The neighborhood outside is gray and still. The same concrete rows that have always been there. The same loudspeaker mounted at the corner of the street. You don't notice it anymore. It's the same voice every morning. The same words arranged in the same order. And you've stopped hearing it the way you've stopped hearing rain. You go to school where the walls carry portraits of men you've been taught to love more than your own father. You sing the songs without thinking. You memorize the words. You raise your hand when they'd ask who would die for the general. And every hand in the room goes up at the same moment, like a single body with many arms. You're 13 and your father hasn't come home in 4 days. Your mother tells you he's working in another province, but her eyes don't match your voice. She keeps the curtains drawn and moves through the apartment in small, quiet movements, touching the walls as if checking they're still there. You've learned by now that certain questions carry weight. You've learned which words not to say, and which ones not to mention, and how to carry silence the way you carry a full bucket, carefully and without spilling. Your teacher tells the class that loyalty is more important than family. You write it down in your notebook. You underline it twice because she seems to need you to. You're 15 and the food runs thin in winter. Your stomach twists at night with a sharpness that doesn't go away. The market still exists, but the shelves carry mostly absence. Your mother trades the good blanket for a small bag of corn. You eat slowly, dividing everything into pieces, trying to make the fullness last longer than it does. Some families in your building are worse off. You hear it through the walls. A boy from your school stops coming. Nobody explains why. His desk sits empty for a week. Then someone else has moved into it, and his name is no longer spoken in the classroom. You understand now that disappearing is not unusual here. It's just another kind of weather. You're 17 and a man from the People's Unit stops you on your way home from the factory. He doesn't ask your name. He already knows it. He tells you that there have been concerns, that someone reported hearing your family speak against the party. Your hands go cold. You say it isn't true. He looks at you without changing his expression and says that truth is something they determine, not you. You nod. You keep nodding. He gives you a date and a building number and tells you to appear at 6 in the morning. You walk the rest of the way home and don't tell your mother. You sit in the dark of your room and listen to your own breathing. You're 17 still when they take you. Two men, a vehicle with no markings, a road you've never been on. They don't bind your hands. They don't need to. The cab appears from behind a tree line. Wire fences rising against the pale sky. Towers spaced at intervals where men stand holding rifles like they've been holding them their whole lives. You're brought inside a building that smells of concrete and mildew, and something metallic beneath that. A man behind a desk reads from a folder without looking at you. He tells you what you are now. You're a prisoner of the state. You've committed crimes against the socialist motherland. You want to ask what crimes, but the man who brought you touches your arm once, lightly, and you understand that the question would only produce more suffering. You're 18 and the days have no names here. They pass as light and dark, labor and sleep, cold and hunger cycling back into itself. You wake before sunrise to a whistle, and you line up with the others in rows, your breath clouding the air. The guards walk the line with batons held loosely at their sides. One looks at you too long, and your body tenses without your deciding it to. You've stopped being surprised by your own fear. You carry your rocks from one place to another, then lumber, then soil. The specific material changing, but the weight staying the same. Your back has stopped hurting and started simply being. At night, you sleep on a wooden board in a room with 11 others. There's a smell to so many unwashed bodies in a closed space that you've stopped noticing after the first month. You eat what they give you. Corn paste, cabbage broth, sometimes a piece of salt. You swallow everything before you've tasted it. You're 19 and you've watched people die. One from cold. One from a beating that lasted too long. One, slowly, from something that started in the lungs and moved outward until he became more cough than person. You carry this knowledge the way you carry everything now, without letting it show on your face. Grief here is a luxury, and luxuries draw attention. Guards reward informers with extra food, and so you've learned that the man who sleeps nearest to you might not be a friend just because he suffers the same. You speak less. You look at the ground more. You learn to make yourself into something that doesn't appear worth watching. You're 20 and you're sent to a different block where prisoners work the fields. The sun is different here, somehow, pressing on your shoulders and the back of your neck until your skin burns and peels and burns again. A guard called Supervisor Yun walks the rows with a wooden rod and strikes the slow ones across the thighs without warning. You learn his rhythm. You learn when he turns, how long he returns, which section he favors. You plant corn and pull weeds and carry loads until your arms shake and still you move. Because the alternative to moving is too clear. A woman in your row stumbles and cannot rise. Two guards pull her away. You don't look. You keep your head down and your hands moving through the soil. You're 21 and something breaks in you that you didn't know was still intact. You've been told that your mother has been brought in too. A guard tells you this plainly, as information, the way you'd tell someone the weather. He watches your face when he says it. You give him nothing to see. You walk back to your section and you dig the furrow assigned to you, and you fill it and you move on to the next. But at night you lie on the board and your chest fills with a pressure that has no sound and no release, and you just hold it there in the dark, pressing your fists against your sternum as if you could keep it from expanding. You don't cry. You learn that crying is audible. You're 23 and there's a man named Beck in your block who has been here 11 years. His face has a quality like stone. Not hard exactly, but shaped by what has passed over it for a very long time. He never looks at the guards directly. He never rushes and never lags. He's a perfect instrument of invisibility. He speaks to you once in the fields, not turning his head. He tells you that the body knows things that the mind refuses. He says to listen to your body more than your thoughts. He doesn't explain further. You turn it over in your mind for weeks. Slowly, you understand that he means your terror is information, not a sentence. You can feel fear and still keep moving. You already knew this. Now you know it differently. You're 25 and you're transferred again, this time to a lighter work detail sorting factory materials. Your hands, which had grown thick and cracked from field work, slowly develop a different kind of callus. The building is indoors. This feels like mercy, though you know it isn't. You eat the same amount. The guards are the same kind of people, but the absence of direct sun is something. You take note of small things with a precision you didn't have before. The way a certain guard's boots sound on the floor before he enters. The day the cabbage broth is slightly thicker, which means something has been added, which sometimes means inspection is coming. You become someone who reads the air the way a sailor reads the water. You're 27 and they tell you that your sentence is reduced. You don't know why. You don't ask. You nod and lower your eyes and they hand you a paper with a date on it that is 3 months away. 3 months is nothing. 3 months is everything. You carry the date inside your chest like a stone you keep touching to make sure that it's still real. You eat the same food. You do the same work. But the date is there. Beck is released before you. You watch him walk toward the gate with a small bundle under his arm, and you think about what the world outside those fences look like now. Whether your feet will remember how to move on pavement. Whether the sounds of ordinary life will feel foreign. Whether you'll know how to be around people who haven't learned the same things you have. You're 28 and the gate opens in early spring. The air outside the fence smells of mud and new grass and something else you can't name. Something clean and cold and very large. The guard hands you a form and tells you to report to your district office within 72 hours. Then he turns back inside. You stand at the edge of the road holding the paper. Your legs carry you forward because that's what legs do. The road is unpaved and goes through a line of birch trees whose white trunks stand very still in the morning light. You walk without looking back. The fence disappears behind the trees. You keep walking. The air is cold and your shoes are too thin and your body weighs less than it should. But you keep moving forward down the road until the camp is entirely gone. And there's only the pale sky and the sound of your own footsteps and the smell of the season beginning again without your permission. You're 28 still, and you sit at the edge of a town you don't recognize, at a bus station with a cracked plastic seat and fluorescent light buzzing above. You've said 8 words to another person since the gate closed behind you. A woman at the district office, a man who directed you to this bus. Your voice sounds unfamiliar to you, hoarse and careful, like something that's been stored a long time and hasn't been aired out. You have a document that says your name, and a small amount of won and a return address for a district that may or may not hold anyone who remembers you. You sit with your hands folded in your lap and watch the other passengers. They move easily, checking their phones, adjusting their bags, speaking without measuring their words first. You watch them the way you watch everything now, quietly, from a distance, noting what is safe and what is not, reading the room out of a habit that the room no longer requires.